everyone. I hope your art supplies are out and ready to go because I've been looking forward to painting this little study with you today.
And it looks like Holly's been looking forward to it too. It's a simple palette today, just 3 colours, white, cobalt blue and ivory black. We'll start by mixing a nice dark grey with our white and black, and then we'll make a lighter grey by adding more white to that mix. Now Holly is a blue point ragdoll, so she's got mostly grey in her, but if you were painting a chocolate point ragdoll, you might want to use some raw umber instead of ivory black. Now we'll mix up some eye colour. Holly has bright blue eyes, so I'll use cobalt blue mixed with white, just a touch of the blue because it can be quite strong. Of course, you could change the colour of your cat's eyes to anything you liked. Now I'm painting on some toned paper today. You don't have to, you can just paint on canvas if you like, but if you'd like some toned paper, you can see a link in the description box below to show you how to make some. Now I'm starting off by sketching out some very simple shapes, 2 triangles for the ears and then 2 extended lines for the body. Her face is also a type of triangle shape, so I'm just going to mark at the bottom of the ears 2 little lines for the eyes and keep the eyes under the ears, the position of the eye. So you can see I've put my lines under each ear and then extending the eyes out from there. They should be equally spaced apart too. And then I'm just going to make a little childlike triangle for the nose, just like we did when we were kids, and a little line for the mouth, and a little indication of where the pupils might be. It's a very simple sketch, but we will work on it as we paint. Now we're going to take our mid-tone grey, that was the second grey that we mixed, not the darkest one, and we're going to block in her ears and around her face with that. And I'm using quick brush strokes, and I'm trying to keep them in the direction that the fur would grow. Now we can add a little bit more white to that middle grey to make the lighter colour of her fur, and we'll block in the rest of her fur using that lighter grey shade. Now we're going to take our darkest grey mix now, the first mix that we made, and we're going to go around her ears and inside her eyes. Now when I went round the ears, I took the opportunity to make them less pointed and more rounded on the ends. And I also sort of rounded out the sides too to make it look more natural. Now when I got to the eye on the right hand side, I brought the line down a little bit to indicate the shadow at the side of her nose in that area. Now it's time to paint those beautiful blue eyes. Holly has blue eyes, but if your cat has a different color, you would change it at this point. I'm just going to bring that blue right down to the bottom eyelid and round out the shape a little to make it more cat-like. Now we're going to go in with our pure black now, and we'll just outline the eyes and put the pupils in. It's time to turn that little triangle into a nose, and we'll need a letter M at the top of the nose, a line down the middle, and then the little nostrils on the sides. And then we can take some dark grey and just fill it in. Okay, she's starting to look more like a cat now. It's time to add some form to make her look 3D. So we're going to take some light grey, very light grey, make a line under each eye, a little bit on the cheek, on the sides of her nose, and down one side of her nose on the left hand side, because that's where the light would catch. We're going to go on the right hand side with that dark grey now to give it more contrast in our painting, and we're going to just put a few lines up into near the top of her head, not all the way to the top, and then we'll go down on the right hand side of her face too. We're just going to darken up some of those areas to give her more of a 3D effect. Because we've already got a grey area on her face, when we're applying this darker area, we don't have to be as precise with our brush strokes. If a little bit of the light grey shines through, that would be a more natural look. We want to give the impression that our cat is soft and fluffy, so we have to soften up all our lines, and I'm just using a clean, dry brush here to do that. While I'm doing that, please could I ask you a big favor? If you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Now after all that softening, we might lose some of our lights and darks, so we're going to re-establish them now. We're going to put some very light grey on the brush and go over some of those areas, concentrating especially on the left hand side where the light would come in. We can also touch up the little black parts of the nose and a little bit of a darker shadow around her mouth area. This is my favorite part, putting on the highlights. We can take our pure white now and we can just highlight the parts that the light would catch. For example, around the tops of her ears, the top of her head, and especially down the left-hand side of her body. We've only got a few minutes left, so we're just going to finish off, do a few finishing touches. I noticed that my eyes were looking a little bit recessed, so I'm going to bring them forward by outlining them a little bit darker with the black. Re-establish that dark of the pupil, down the side of the eye, just the little bits that I noticed are maybe not standing out the way they should be. One last fluff of her fur with our soft brush, and then we'll add some whiskers. To add the whiskers, we're going to dilute the white with some medium of our choice, and then using a nice fine brush, we're going to make very fine lines. The best way to do it is to flick the lines on quickly with your brush and not overthink it. If your whiskers turn out too dark or too thick, you can just take your softening brush and soften them out and then do another layer on the top. Then we can add some longer hairs around her ears, sticking out the top of her head, just wherever you think cats have got extra long fluffy bits. Of course, this is just a simple study. We've only used a few colours, 3 colours, and we haven't put lots of details in. It wouldn't be a complete portrait, of course, it's just a sketch, but it's a good start. And if you like your sketch, you can always continue with it and develop it further into a portrait. Also, we've only got a limited amount of time to do these sketches, so we don't want to be taking up too much time with too many details. It is tempting to keep going, especially when we're having fun, but it's time for a rest now, especially if you're pacing to save energy. We can pack the brushes away for another day. It's time now to sit back and admire your handiwork. What do you think, Holly? Yes, I have to agree with you, Holly. You are gorgeous. Thank you so much for following along with me today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment below if you have any questions and I'll do my best to answer them for you. And I'll see you in the next video.